in lab 16, we're going to set up the connections for the data connection purpose. There are two different kinds of connections we will set up. We can set up with the DDE between PLC and Microsoft Excel. So that you can follow this very good YouTube link to finish that connections. And we will talk about all the details on the lecture with those tutorials, right? So if you're watching this video from YouTube, you don't have this lab, I will post those video link underneath the video so you can watch it. All right. So for DDE connection, there are a few things I need to talk about. One of them is called the DDE topic. So this is the one of the video I made in the lab. In our lab, because there are so many PLC file has been downloaded on the station. So we could run into some I'll show you on here. We could have some potential problems. As you can see on the background, so I already have the Excel created. All right. So normally when you see this, that means the link is not good. In this particular example, we have the DDE, right? So when I look at the DDE connection, there's something we need to look on that. All right, so I'll play the video. So first, when we have the PLC download, you can see here that's in remote run, right? So that's download into the station 3. So you can, from the IP address, you can see that. Maybe I should zoom in a little bit so you can see clearly here. So what I want to pay attention is here. So this is the IP address, right? So then from the window on the right-hand side, that's the RSLinx, right? So you can see on here underneath station 3, so that's RSLinx on the 35 IP address. We have this is the file I download on here. It's called the mjang.c4, right? So that's normally the file name will automatically set up as the name for the DDE connection. But you can see here on the RSLinx, when I go through this is what I mean. So if you look at this, there's quite a long list because we have so many people work on the station, different files download on there. So somehow it stopped updating. You can see here, I'm looking for my name on here, the file name, mjang.c4, I don't see it. So this is the problem you will run into, right? So what you can do is that you can create a new one, right? If the system, you can see here, I could click this button, that's called new, but I right click, there's option new as well. So if the RSLinx didn't create the topic, the DDE topic, OPC topic for you, you can create manually, right? So you can see here, I choose new, then there's new one underneath here. So at this point, you can create any name you want, right? Because if it's automatically generated, that's the file name. But in this case, I just create a DDE underscore OPC. Then I point to station 3. So because in this case, I download to station 3, right? I point to slot 00, that's the PLC controller, then apply and set up the connection. Done. All right. So this is you might run into a little bit of glitch on the DDE. So once you set up on the connection on here, so you go back to the according to the video tutorial, right? You go to edit, copy the link, right? So you need to find the You can see here, I'm trying to find the one I created, but I don't see it. But if you scroll all the way down to there, you have the new one created on here, right? So DDE, OPC, open that. In this case, if we want to fix that problem, right? So I'm trying to get the counter accumulated value, copy on there, then paste special. So I first delete this Excel, then let me use, right? So paste link and connection, you can see right here, right? So you can see that data is running now, right? So first, a little bit housekeeping, right? So just let you know that you might run into some problem with the DDE connection. So you know how to fix it by watching this, right? So like I said, pretty much you can follow the video, do the DDE connection by yourself, right? So now I'm showing you the second connection, which is the OPC connection between the PLC and LabVIEW, right? So LabVIEW is another software. I know this is the outside of the scope of this course. Uh, we only need to learn a little bit to see the result between the connections between these two, and that's the purpose on there, right? So first, let's talk about the name of OPC, right? What is OPC? So I checked on the some of the name on here. So see here. So what is OPC, right? So this is their website, right? So one thing you notice on here, this is a reliable exchange of data in industrial automation space, right? So uh, that's basic the purpose of that between HMI, SCADA, and Modbus PLC. Those things we talk a little bit, so I already understand that. I'm trying to find the name, uh, so there because there may be some confusion up there. Over here, talk about the OPC, right? So the name is directly from the OLE. That's the O, right? For process control. So that's the original name for that. And after that, I did some research. You can see here, compare because in this lab we have DDE, right? Dynamic Data Exchange and OPC, right? So I noticed here, you can see this is the name that is different. So Open Platform Communications. They call this as OPC. It's not the one I just show you, right? So then we can just use AI, right? Google search on there, then I found another one, right? So you can see the Open Platform Communications is the current name for the standard. Is originally called OLE process control. So that I hope that will solve some of the confusion on this, right? So that is the name. If you're interested, you can read. There's some historical data on here, contact. All right. So I doubt it. I'm probably you're not interested on that. But over here, this is something we want to compare between the DDE and OPC. So the DDE is the one I just showed you between the PLC and the Microsoft Excel, right? So notice here, OPC is generally considered faster and better than the DDE, right? So that's why we also want to see what OPC can give us the information on there, right? So maintain Windows. You can see the DDE. One thing is that it's just between the Windows applications, right? So it has some limitations. And OPC is more wider, right? You can see here is a industrial standard, right? So if you work in the automation field, you probably will see OPC more than the DDE, right? Because there has a lot of applications involved with OPC. right? So that's just some of the basic background. Of course, I will also talk about some of the LabVIEW, right? But that's not the purpose of this uh, video. So on this video, I just want to focus on the setup connections of the OPC. So uh, over here, I just want to have all my stuff open up out here. Just give me a minute. So on my again on my laptop, I only have the emulator, right? So then this is the RSLinx. Uh, you can see here I use this connect to the emulator on here, right? So the first part with the DDE I already finished. You can see here this is the PLC connect program we use for the DDE connection. And let me zoom in a little bit. And also the Excel file. I'm trying to, I got lots of things open up on here. Excel file I already created, right? So uh, you can see the data is updating, right? And also the preset, you can see here if I type in different value. And for this one, maybe I just trying to find, you can, when I press the button preset, you can see that set to the value, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see that's being set up on here, right? The preset value is already there. And the reset button, uh, over here, we only have the value change, right? From 0 to 1, when I press the button, then you can see simulate the button being pressed from the HMI, right? That reset that. But the button release, it will not change back to 0 automatically. So we have to manually change the value to 0, then press reset button again. That's release the button. All right. Then the collect data collect data which button will get all the data stamp, right? The timestamp, all the data in here. You can see on here, I got the second one, right? So again, it's just like the video tutorial shows, right? I make the work, right? So now I start on the uh, second connection with the OPC from the LabVIEW. All right, I already create a blank project. So let me open it. So this is just a very small window. Let me. I know the font is very small, so that's why I need to zoom in a little bit. So okay, so this is the uh the main window from the LabVIEW, right? So if you go to File, click New VI, VI I believe represent virtual instruments, right? The NI is National Instruments, that's the company's name. The VI virtual instrument, I think that's what I mean, but anyway, all right. So once you start on that, you will see two sub window uh, pop up. One window is called from panel. Yeah, this is called from panel. It's almost like the HMI, the graphic interface. And then there also another window on the back. So this is the where the program part, the logic, you make connections. They call the block diagram, right? So this is the window. So obviously you will work on both window if you want to build complicated applications. But in our lab, in this particular lab, we won't go this deep. So we just create some basic connections so we can see the OPC connection between the PLC and the computer software. All right. So speaking of that, all right. So I forgot to demonstrate the other thing. Remember the RSLinx can be a OPC server, right? And also you can look at that from a software. You can look at here. I'm trying to find a software. It's called the uh, Rockwell software. Yeah. So then if you just let you know to understand what exactly is OPC, very, very similar to the DDE, but you can see here there's an app called OPC Test Client. So if I open this, so you will see a window very similar to RSLinx, but it's different. It's different one. So this one is that let you to test, use this app as a client. So to see if the OPC server available, right? So over here underneath the server, you can click, make a connection. So you can see right now on my laptop, there are so many different servers you can connect to, right? There's National Instruments, right? That's the LabVIEW on there. So, but right now, we use the RSLinx OPC server. So that's the server I choose. I make a connection out here. So uh, then I try to add item, but I have to add the group. It's just a sort of organization of that. How to organize it. I just gave a name called J1. All right. So by underneath J1, I can make the item. So I want to test if RS links the OPC server available. Right. Again, all the details we can talk about more on the lecture. And when I open this OPC server, you can see there are two nodes. One of them is the mjang ladder. So if you look at here, so this is the file I currently download into my emulator. So you can see the file is called mjang ladder, right? So that's exactly what I just showed you before is the file name, right? So we need to look at underneath here. So when I open it, there's a offline and online. So when you open online, there are so many different programs. Uh, I can show you on here, right? So this one I create underneath the program of DDE underscore OPC. So that's where we need to find this folder on here. So on the OPC client, you can see it on here, right? So there are the tags available on here. When you click, this reminds me very, very similar to the factory TalkView Studio when you look at the tag browser, right? So you look at the different tag and different folder. So right now, if I want to look at what's the value on the counter accumulated value, I can highlight and click OK. So I set up a one monitor on here. So notice here, the value is changing, right? So if I have the Excel open up on here, uh, Zoom window, okay, on here. So you can see this value right now 230 something, right? It's the same. Right. So this is, but the background DDE is the for the Excel, but right now this one is the OPC. So that means right now my RSLinx on my desktop can provide different communication services. Right. So one of them that provide the connection to for DDE with the Excel. Right now we can see the OPC is also available. So this is the connection we will use for the LabVIEW, right? So I will open, close that on this, go back to LabVIEW. So how do we use the uh, LabVIEW to make the connections? So again, for this particular lab, we only want to work on very, very basic level. So first one, I want to create the, just like the Excel, I want to see the counters accumulated value, right? So if you look at here on the Excel, similar to this part, I want to get those two values show up on the LabVIEW. So if you right click on the front panel, one of them is called numeric. Remember what we learned in the factory TalkView Studio, similar to that. So the object or what do they call that? Maybe component or something control is called a numerical indicator. That's the one we want to choose. So if you click on here, so you basically create a component on the interface. And notice on the background, right? On this block diagram, there also a component created on there. So you can make connections, but we won't do that for our lab, right? That's just outside of this course scope, right? So I want to use this to show the counter value or cumulative value, right? How do we do that? Right click. So then you can see the property. Select the property. One of them is the tab is called data binding. So if you click here, you want bound that to the data socket. So that's what you want to see here. The access type is read only, then that's okay, right? So we browse, then we choose DSTP, data socket transfer protocol or something like that, right? So there's so many different names because different software they call that, right? Then we will see a link similar to what I just showed you on the client, right? OPC client on here. You can see RSLinx OPC underneath that file. Then you will see online folder. Again, you need to go into the program, the DDE underscore OPC. So if you click on the CTU, so you will see the accumulated value, right? So once you select, click OK, and then click OK. You basically, it's almost like the tag connection if you still remember Factory TalkView Studio, right? So if you want to test it, move your cursor to here. You can run only once, like a one scan, only run one time, or run continuously. We can just use continuously, all right? So you can see here, it's 380 something here, right? So if you look at on the background, yeah, so the Excel is still running on here. So I need to move that away on here. So you can see, yeah, 390, 391, right? And then if you look at the Studio 5000 online view, right, 390 something out here. Right? They all connected together, right? So this is how do we set up OPC, the first all OPC connection from the uh, LabVIEW. So if you click this, you can stop the testing on here. Right? That won't update anymore. So as you can see with this connection, you can make the connection to the timer cumulative value as well. I don't need to show that, right? So with this, if you want to change, you can also change, for example, if you move this, uh, display format, yeah. So you can even change. I think there should be something appearance. Yes. You can see here the label. If you want, you can change that CTU1, right? You can click OK, then you can see that make the display more specific, right? So probably I need to zoom in the window. The font is really small. I haven't found a way to make change on that, right? Luckily, I can zoom in Zoom in this way, all right? So now let's try to find to have a second connection to the reset button, right? So this is the first connection. We display the value from the counter accumulate, right? So now if I want to have another connection, another type of control to set the button, right? To reset that. So how do we do that? Right. So I need to move that away. So on the from panel on here, if you right click, then there's a second category called Boolean. Then there's a push button, right? Push button is the suitable component. We can use that to connect to the uh, uh, reset. I wonder, I think you can also make that bigger. Uh, should be able to, yeah, you can see here, right? If you move around, should be able to resize that component similar to the HMI design. The same thing, if we want to represent the push button, right click, right click, you don't see that, you see property, right? Open the property, then you can see here, we can even change the label to reset. All right. Then the most important thing, date bounding, right? So over here we choose data socket, same thing again. But this is a button, right? Not only we want to read the value, we also want to write. So we want to choose this, read and write, both. And then now we can browse, and the same thing here. So we find the RSLinx OPC server, and then underneath my file, then you can go into different program, DDE underscore OPC, then because that's here, right? It's not underneath structures, it's right here. It's the tag on here. Click OK, and then click OK. So we made the connection. So now if we want test the uh, the result, we can use this, all right? So let me see here. There's lots of things running on my laptop right now. Similar to the reset, right? So if you can see here, the reset is here, right? Reset is here. That's the button we try to connect it to. It's not. Yeah, you can see here, right? So when you can see the light up, right? Then the reset is here, right? It's there's no momentary button on the. At least I haven't found it yet. They only have the like we call maintain button, right? So when you press, it's connected on here, right? When you press again, that goes to zero, right? So that's similar to the reset. And actually, if you think about it, it's very similar to the Excel, right? With the computer. Let's try that. So with the, if I can have a both on there. So over here on the Excel, if I change the value to 1, then press the reset, you can see here, that also works, right? So the DDE is also working on here. So if I change the value back to 0, and press the button, Excel can also change the reset, right? And then in the same time, my LabVIEW button, you can see here, right? Okay, all right. I know this is a very short demo. You can create all the other component if you want. All right. For this, I don't want to use the time anymore. All right. So on the lecture, we will explore more details, more topics on the data collection topic. All right. So let me just stop here.